Stay with us till the end, you won't want to miss what happens. It started the night she caught a man staring at her across a rooftop bar in the city's velvet dusk. His eyes lingered not with the usual hunger she knew too well, but with something deeper, recognition, and yet she'd never seen him before. Or so she thought. He wore a black button-down, sleeves rolled up to reveal a tattoo snaking around his forearm like a secret. And when their eyes finally locked, she swore he looked guilty, not awkward. Guilty. The wind teased strands of her hair across her lips as he crossed the rooftop, slow and certain, like he had walked toward her in 1,000 dreams before this one. She hated men like him, confident, beautiful, unreadable. But she didn't walk away. "Do I know you?" she asked before he could speak. He smiled softly. "Not yet, but I know you." The music faded around them. The city did too. His voice was low, warm, and devastating. She should have left right then. What if the one who made you feel seen was the same one hiding everything from you? "Stay with me because the truth will burn louder than the lies." I'm Luca, he said, offering no last name. She narrowed her eyes. "And how exactly do you know me?" His pause was too long. "I read something once about you, and when I saw you tonight, I had to speak." "You read something," she echoed, folding her arms. "An article. You write for the Chronicle, right?" That was true. She did. But it wasn't the kind of piece people remembered, certainly not strangers in rooftop bars. She hesitated. He noticed. "I'm not crazy," he added, his tone dipped in apology. "I swear I don't know why I'm telling you this. You seem like someone who'd understand." "Understand what?" They talked until the night turned to mist. She learned he worked in security tech, hated olives, played the piano once until his brother broke his fingers, and didn't believe in second chances. But most of all, she learned that being around him made her heart feel dangerous again, like it could shatter into something beautiful. He never touched her that night, but his words did. The next time they met, it was raining. She didn't know she had agreed to see him again, but there she was standing beneath his umbrella, feeling like she was cheating on her own loneliness. And then came the first lie. "My name isn't Luca," he confessed, breath fogging the cold space between them. "I wanted to tell you the truth, but..." She froze. "So what is it then? And why lie at all?" He looked at her like the answer would hurt. "Because if you knew who I was, you'd never have let me talk to you." She wanted to walk away. She didn't. "What do you want from me?" she asked, throat tight. "Nothing," he whispered. "I just want to be near you. Just once. Even if you hate me afterward." And she should have walked. But instead, she kissed him angrily, hungrily, like she needed to taste the betrayal before she drowned in it. His hands found her waist as if they belonged there. Her fingers tangled in his shirt like she'd been waiting to tear it open for years. Rain slid down their bodies, and the world blurred until only his breath on her skin made sense. And after the kiss, he stepped back like he'd stolen something. "I'm sorry," he said. "Why?" she asked. "Because everything I'm doing, it's all for you. And you'll hate me when you find out." She didn't sleep that night. She replayed his words over and over. her lips still aching with the memory of the rain-slicked kiss that should have ended everything, but didn't. Instead, it started a slow unraveling inside her. He had lied. She knew that. But the way he said sorry, it sounded like a man protecting something, not hiding from it. In the morning, her curiosity betrayed her better judgment. She searched his face online using the Chronicle's investigative tools. Nothing. No Luca matching his features. No link to security tech firms. Nothing but the growing feeling in her stomach that this wasn't about coincidence. It was personal. He didn't stumble upon her. He found her on purpose. Still, she met him again. This time, it was inside a dim art gallery, surrounded by abstract chaos and shadows that smelled like paint and longing. She didn't smile when she saw him. She folded her arms instead, waiting for him to earn every second she was about to give. "You have 1 hour," she said. He nodded. "Solemn. My real name is Aiden Gray. I used to work for a company you exposed last year, Helix Systems." She blinked. "You wrote a piece that shut down their facial recognition division. They were using it on civilians without consent. You saved people's lives. But it also cost hundreds their jobs, mine included. You were spying on people," she said, voice sharp. Double quotes. "No. I was a whistleblower. But when everything burned, I got buried with it. I lost my identity, my clearance, my life." She stared at him. "So this is revenge?" "No," he said quickly, stepping closer. "This is all. I followed your work. I followed you, and I hated you. Until I realized something." He paused, looking at her like he wished she could see what he saw. "I didn't hate you. I envied your courage. I read every word you ever published. I memorized the sound of your voice from podcasts. I told myself it was professional curiosity. But when I saw you that night on the rooftop, it wasn't curiosity anymore. It was fate." She wanted to slap him. She wanted to kiss him again. She did neither. "You stalked me," she said coldly. "I watched you from a distance." He said, "Never interfered until now." "Why now?" "Because I don't want to watch anymore. I want to be in your life. Not as Luca, as me." He lied to meet her, but he's telling the truth to keep her. "Would you fall for the one who watched you from the shadows? Or run before it's too late?" She walked away, heels echoing across the polished floor. But he didn't follow, and that was what haunted her most. 2 days passed before she texted him, "Meet me. But this time, tell me everything. No filters, no games." They met in a motel room that smelled like silence and secrets. He brought nothing but his voice and a single envelope. Inside were newspaper clippings, confidential memos, a letter he'd written to the Chronicle that never got printed. She sat on the edge of the bed, reading everything with trembling hands. He didn't speak, just watched her. When she was done, she looked up at him and whispered, "You're not who I thought you were." "I never was," he said softly. "But I never lied about how I felt. Not once." There was something naked in his eyes now, stripped of pride, stripped of mystery. She stood slowly, walking to him like someone drifting toward a cliff. Then, "Show me," she said. "Show me who you are without the lies." He reached for her like he'd been holding himself back for years. His hands were careful at first, hesitant even until her fingers slid under his shirt and pulled him into her. Their mouths crashed together, a storm of desperation and delayed truth. She felt his guilt in every kiss. He tasted her fury like fire on his tongue. Clothes fell to the floor like confessions. He laid her down with reverence. Not hunger like he didn't deserve her body, but still wanted to worship it. And she let him, not because she forgave him, but because her heart had already cracked open. What he took from her could never be replaced, but what he gave was unlike anything she'd ever felt. Afterward, she lay against him, breathless, exposed. "I still don't know if I can trust you," she whispered. "I don't blame you," he replied, "but I'll give you every reason to try." Morning came like an unwelcome truth. She stirred in the motel bed, alone, his side of the sheets still warm. The scent of his skin etched into the fabric like memory. The soft light crept through the cheap curtains, brushing across her bare thigh and the marks he left behind, gentle, reverent, as if even his fingertips had whispered her name. But he was gone. No note, no sound, no goodbye. Just silence, and a pulse in her chest that felt like a betrayal. Again, she sat up slowly, sheets tangled around her, one part of her aching for his touch, the other already gathering armor to pretend it meant nothing. It should have been just sex. It should have been closure. But nothing about Aiden Gray ever followed the rules. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Check your inbox. You're not safe." She blinked. Her breath caught. The message had no name, but the tone was him. Urgent. Familiar. Protective. She checked her email. One new file. Encrypted. It took her 10 minutes to unlock. And what opened was not a love letter. It was a confession. When a man disappears after making you feel everything and leaves a file that could destroy you, would you open it? Would you believe him again? Or shut the door on a love that already branded your body? Inside the file were surveillance logs, dozens, all stamped from a company she didn't recognize. Argus Intel Systems. Not Helix, not government, not public, private, shadow level, and she was the target. Interviews she'd conducted, her apartment surveillance, even phone transcripts. Not just from this year, going back 3 years. 3 years ago, she wrote. Her most dangerous exposed, the one that got her threatened, discredited, and nearly blackballed from journalism altogether. It wasn't just about ethics in tech. It was about buried identities, erased crimes, shell companies tied to military contractors. She thought it had blown over. Apparently not. And Aiden, he wasn't just a whistleblower. He'd been her shadow ever since, watching, protecting, or preparing her. She dialed the number from the text. He answered on the second ring. "I told you you'd hate me," he said quietly. "Are you watching me right now?" she asked, voice tight. "No, but others are." "Who the hell are you really?" A pause. "I was supposed to seduce you, gain your trust, get you to delete what you had from Helix. But I didn't know you then. Now, I'd burn the world before I let them touch you." She didn't respond. Her heart was doing that thing again, beating too fast for safety. And yet, she whispered, "Come back to me." "I can't. Not yet. They'll follow me. Then I'll come to you." He exhaled. "You're not afraid." "I am," she said. "But you kissed me like a man who would bleed for me. That kind of kiss ruins every safe choice I've ever made. That night, she took the risk. She followed the coordinates he sent an abandoned safe house 2 hours outside the city. When she stepped inside, he was there, sitting by candlelight, eyes haunted and full of the ache she'd been carrying all day. He didn't speak. He just walked to her, fingers brushing the side of her face, like checking if she was still real. She took his shirt off first this time. The scars across his ribs glowed faintly in the flickering light. She kissed each one, slowly, tasting the damage he'd never shown anyone else. His hands found her hips, then her back, unclasping the tension, the silence, the waiting. When they came together, it wasn't urgent, it was slow, deep, and trembling, like two people who had already lost too much and refused to lose each other. Their bodies spoke truths their mouths were too afraid to say. Her moans softened into gasps against his throat. His hands gripped her like a drowning man clinging to the shore. And when she cried out his real name in the dark, something inside him shattered and healed at the same time. Afterward, she curled into his chest, listening to the rhythm of a heart that had once lied to her and now beat only for her. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you never looked away," he said, "even when you should have." The days that followed weren't made of hours, they were stitched together from whispers, code words, burner phones, and stolen nights. Every moment with Aiden was borrowed from danger. She knew that. But still, she gave herself to him like the world outside didn't exist. He cooked for her in silence, brushing her hand when he passed the salt. He kissed her neck while she typed, slow and absent-minded, like her skin was gravity and he'd fall apart without the touch. And in the dark, he held her like someone trying to memorize the shape of safety just in case he had to let go. But they both knew it couldn't last. One night, he pressed a flash drive into her palm. "If anything happens to me, you release this." She stared at it like it was a loaded gun. "What's on it?" "Names. People who paid to erase themselves. Proof they're still operating. Argus, Helix, all of it. And you trust me with this." He met her gaze. "I trust you with my life." "I already have." She swallowed, the weight of it sinking in. "Are we running?" "No," he said. "We're finishing what they started." But finishing meant war, and war meant loss. She loved him with her whole heart. But what if loving him meant she'd have to bury him? When love becomes the most dangerous truth you carry, do you run or do you fight? The Chronicle refused to publish the evidence. Too risky, too vague, too volatile. So she made the choice that changed everything. She leaked it anonymously, through the same backdoor whistleblowers had used for years. It lit the internet on fire within 24 hours. It lit her phone with threats, and it painted a target on Aiden's back. They were at the safe house when the alarm tripped. Not outside, inside. He froze. She watched the color drain from his face. They're inside the system. They're already here. Gunshots cracked the silence like thunder. He shoved her toward the crawl space. "Go. Now. No. Go." He roared. She didn't scream when he kissed her one last time, fierce and frantic and full of all the things they never said aloud. She didn't cry when he slammed the hatch shut. She just lay there in the dark, covering her mouth, listening as the world above her collapsed. When it went silent, she waited. 1 minute. 5. 10. Then she pushed the hatch open. Smoke, blood, broken furniture. But no Aiden. No body, no trace, just a single black glove and a bullet hole in the floor wall. She ran barefoot into the trees, gripping the flash drive so hard it nearly split in two. She didn't stop until she hit the highway. Didn't stop until she collapsed in the middle of nowhere. Didn't stop until she realized the man she loved might have died, just to protect the truth. 2 weeks passed. She didn't sleep, didn't write, didn't breathe without thinking of his hands, his lies, his love. Her name hadn't been printed anywhere in the leaks. Neither had his. But it didn't matter. The story burned, and so did the silence he left behind. Then, one night, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a burner phone and a single note in his handwriting. Meet me where it rained. If you still want me. She drove back to the rooftop bar. Same skyline, same wind, same ache in her chest. And there he was. Alive, leaning against the rail like no time had passed. But everything had changed. She didn't run. She didn't cry. She walked right up and punched him in the chest. You bastard. I know, he whispered. I thought you were dead. I had to disappear. I broke for you, Aiden. I did too, he said, reaching for her hand. But I came back. If you'll have me. And she didn't answer him with words. She kissed him like she had something to prove. Like pain could rewrite itself if you pressed hard enough. Like lies could become truth in the right hands. And in that kiss, she told him the only thing that mattered: you're still mine. Even now. The city didn't know what they'd done, what they'd risked, what they'd saved. To the world, she was just a reporter who hadn't published in weeks. And he was a ghost with no digital footprint. But to each other they were something. Raw, untouchable, unfinished. He stayed with her now. Not in hotels, not in hiding, just beside her, quietly, like he belonged. They kept the windows covered and their phones off. They made love in the mornings like they were stealing back time. He cooked, she wrote, and in the spaces between those ordinary things, they stitched together a future from all the lies they had outlived. One night, she asked the question she'd been holding for weeks. Would you have left me if I hadn't followed you to that safe house? He looked at her, the dim light catching the old bruise on his jaw. I would have died thinking you were safer without me. But I wasn't, she whispered. I was never safer, not once. He reached across the bed, brushing his thumb down the center of her chest like tracing a wound only he could see. I thought I was protecting you from me, but I was just a coward. You didn't deserve lies, even the ones I told to shield you. She leaned in. No, I didn't. But I still chose you. That silence after a confession, it's never empty. It's sacred. They broke rules, boundaries, and each other, but love doesn't survive because it's perfect. It survives because it fights back, even when everything else tries to tear it apart. Would you forgive a lie if it protected your heart from something worse? Weeks turned to months. Her articles returned stronger, bolder, more dangerous. She never named names, but her voice grew teeth. People began to notice. People began to whisper. And deep down, she knew it wouldn't be long before the shadows came looking again. One evening, As they sat under a flickering street lamp in a forgotten part of the city, he slipped something into her pocket. Small, cold, metal, a key. She frowned. "What's this?" "A door," he said. "Somewhere no one can find us if this all burns down." "You still think we won't make it?" "I know we will," he said. "But hope isn't enough. I have to plan for the worst too. I already lost you once in that fire. I'm never doing it again." She looked at the key like it weighed the same as her heart. "You're not running again, are you?" she asked. He met her eyes. "Only with you." And then, for the first time since they met, she realized something terrifying. She believed him completely, not because he'd stopped lying, but because he had started fighting. The night they made love on the rooftop again, it wasn't desperate. It was slow, sacred. She watched the lights of the city paint his body in amber and ash. And when he kissed her, it wasn't about apology or fear. It was about claiming what survived. His hands moved like he'd memorized her because he had. Her moans came soft, like prayers whispered into his skin. And when they both came undone under the stars, she whispered his real name against his chest. Not the one he gave her at first. The one she forgave him for. And he held her tighter, as if she'd just saved him again. 6 months later, she published her first book. The dedication was one line: "For the man who taught me that even the ugliest truth is more beautiful than the sweetest lie." She never named him, never had to, because every time he traced his fingers down her spine in the dark, every time he kissed her shoulder after a nightmare, she remembered. He lied, but only to love her. And in a world built on betrayal, that was the most honest thing anyone had ever done.